Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into something that so many of us face no matter where we work. How do you actually find your purpose and make a real impact in a big organization? We're going to use the civil service as our case study here to unlock some secrets for thriving, not just, surviving in a structured career.
And let's just kick things off with a pretty fundamental question. We're always told that job security is the holy grail, right? But is a super stable job always a good job for you? It's a lot more complicated than it sounds.
All right, so here's our game plan for today. First up, we'll tackle what's called the civil service paradox. Then, we're going to decode the science behind what actually motivates us. After that, we get practical and talk about taming that paper tiger. And finally, how to become a truly indispensable part of your team.
Okay, first, let's unpack this idea of the civil service paradox. We really need to get to the heart of this conflict that pops up in so many secure jobs. This strange feeling that the very thing that drew you in, the security, can somehow start to feel like, well, a trap.
This lays out the paradox perfectly. On one hand, you have the promise, and it's a great one. Rock-solid job security, doing honorable work, and knowing you probably won't get laid off. But then there's the reality for a lot of people. The day-in, day-out monotony, a career that moves at a snail's pace, and just a real lack of exciting challenges. That right there is the stability trap.
So, what's really going on inside our heads when that initial spark begins to fade? To figure out why that motivation can just kind of evaporate, we need to dig into the actual science of what makes us satisfied at work.
And there's this fantastic framework for this called Herzberg's two-factor theory. It is such a brilliant lens for this problem. It basically says that job satisfaction comes in two flavors. There are things that just keep you from being unhappy, and then there are the things that actually make you happy and motivated. Two totally different categories.
And this is the absolute key takeaway. Those hygiene factors, things like a decent salary, job security, a nice office, they're essential. If they're missing, you're going to be dissatisfied, for sure. But here's the kicker. Even when they're great, they don't make you motivated. For that, you need the motivator factors, things like getting recognized for your work, tackling tough challenges, and feeling like you're actually achieving something.
Now look at how this plays out in the civil service. See the pattern? The problems with hygiene factors, like salary, often need big organizational solutions. But the problems with motivator factors, like feeling bored or unappreciated, the solution often comes down to individual initiative. It's about you seeking out new challenges or putting your hand up for important projects.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. Motivation is not one size fits all. You see this clear generational split. Younger staff, they're often really unhappy with starting pay and they crave opportunities for advancement. Senior staff, they're generally okay with their salary and are more content where they are. It just goes to show you a single strategy to motivate everyone is pretty much guaranteed to fail.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem with motivation. Now let's get into the toolkit. Let's talk about how to tackle one of the biggest, most frustrating parts of any bureaucracy, the paperwork. It is time to tame that paper tiger. Does any of this sound familiar? You know the drill. There's no standard filing system, so it's a total free-for-all. There are mountains of actual paper. You can never find a document when you desperately need it. And then there's the big one. When someone leaves the organization, all their knowledge about where things are just walks right out the door with them. This stuff isn't just an internal headache, it actively slows down the services that people rely on.
So the fix is actually a really logical four-step process. You have to start with standardize. You can't digitize chaos, so you need one clear guide for everyone. Once you have that, you can digitize everything and go paperless. That, in turn, allows you to properly prioritize what needs to be done. And finally, you assign these admin tasks to dedicated people so your experts can, do their actual expert work.
And for that third step, prioritization, the Eisenhower matrix is an absolute game changer. It forces you to look at every single task and put it in a box. Is it urgent and important? You do it right now. Is it important but not urgent? That's your deep strategic work. You schedule time for it. Urgent but not really important? Delegate it. Give it to someone else. And if it's neither urgent nor important, just delete it. It's a beautifully simple way to focus on what matters.
All right, so fixing the paperwork is all about process. But to really truly thrive, it's about your mindset. And this is the final piece of the puzzle.
making that leap from being a rule follower to becoming a genuine problem solver.
See, in this day and age, just doing what you're told isn't really enough. To become indispensable, you have to actively build these key skills. We're talking about being an amazing communicator, a sharp analytical thinker, being flexible when things change, and having a real hunger to keep learning and collaborate with your team.
And this right here, this is the secret sauce. This is the insight that can change your whole career. Your managers don't just want someone to follow a checklist. They are desperate for people who can look at that checklist and say, you know what? I think there's a better way to do this. So look, if you walk away with one thing from this explainer, let it be this. You have to shift your focus. Stop seeing your job as a list of tasks to get through. Start seeing it as a platform for you to actively create value. Take initiative, suggest solutions, and focus on things that deliver real, measurable results. That is how you become a vital part of the engine, not just another cog in the machine.
And that leaves us with one final thought. A question for you to take away. In your role right now, which one are you? Are you a rule follower or are you a problem solver? The answer to that question might just be the spark you've been looking for.